Okay, so hello and welcome back to another Unity C# Bitesize tutorial. In today's video, I'll be covering the basics of navigation so that you can set up your character to respond to mouse inputs and move around the world. I hope you're looking forward to it. Let's get started. So before we get into the scripting, we actually need to tell Unity where we can walk and where we can't. So the way you do this is you mark everything that's not going to move in your scene, so different parts of scenery, as static, which in turn marks them as navigation static. And that allows us to now go to the Window, AI, Navigation tab, and then on here there's bake, and if we then bake, we actually get our nav mesh. Now this is baked using the settings here, okay? So it's assuming that our agent is a radius of 0.5. Now you can actually, per agent, set the radius, and an agent is like our player or something that's going to move around on the nav mesh. So it's telling us, if we clicked here, or if we want to move right to this dot where my mouse is, because we've got a radius of 0.5, then the player would, at this point be just touching the wall. It's so that they don't go into the wall, right? If we go to the player inspector and give them the navmesh agent component, you actually see this kind of collider around them, as well as the capsule collider, you see this other collider. And that's showing us on the navmesh kind of where its bounds are. So we can actually say this one is wider than average, okay? And it can go into fewer places, or same with height, you can say it's higher. And this, working together with the navmesh, allows us to actually do navigation. So actually if I go back over to navigation, okay, this is what it's like. So one thing you'll notice is that once you've baked your navmesh, you actually get a folder with your scene to store the navmesh data. So if you ever delete this, then you have to rebake it, okay? That's where it caches it. If we go to the script folder into the navigation example, let's write the code. So to start off, we want reference to the navmesh agent component that we just put on the player, and this allows us to tell it to move. So navmesh agent, okay. Now, the rest of the code is going to be very similar to the raycast example, because what we want to do is we want to, in our scene, click somewhere, okay, click in the world, and have the player navigate to it. So if we click over here behind this wall, the player is expected to walk around the wall. So what we need to do is we need to go to the raycast example script, okay? I'll cover the code again briefly in a minute, but it's just going to save us some time. So what we want is we want to store the main camera. On start, we grab it. On update, we say, if we didn't press the left mouse button, return, but if we did, fire a raycast. And when we fire a raycast, we don't want to bother with the debug ray, there's no point, okay? And then the actual real raycast, we're just gonna get rid of the distance, which means it goes on forever. So with this, we're not wanting to, change the color of the thing we hit. So the logic now is simply navmesh agent, okay? So whenever we hit a raycast, we wanna set the destination of the navmesh agent. So we just give it a vector free, and that's where it moves to. And where do we want to move to? We want to move to wherever the raycast hits. Now, luckily, in the raycast hit data, one of the things is point, which is exactly where the raycast hits the collider. So now by doing this, whenever we click, we do a raycast to where we clicked, and then we pass that position where they collided into the navmesh agent. This allows us to then go back over to Unity, press play, and before we do that, we actually, have to go to the player and make sure that you drag in the navmesh agent to the script. Now if we press play, and we click to move, as well as changing the color because we have the camera script, we actually move around the world. If I click behind this wall, I go behind it. And if I click over here, it's the fastest route over here, so it actually goes behind. Okay, there's the player. And there it works. So now whenever I click, it just updates the position it's going to. Now in terms of speed, acceleration, and turning and everything, you can tweak all that on the navmesh agent. So you can tweak the acceleration, stopping distance, angular speed, there's all this different stuff you can tweak. You could set the radius to be so big that you can't actually navigate past here, or you can make like another wall over here. It's up to you how you actually want to use it, but this was a bite-sized video on how to set it up. I hope you guys found it useful. If you did, let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, then please leave a like and subscribe. It would help a lot. Let me know down below what you want to see next. Thanks as always for watching. I'll see you guys next time, and goodbye. But of course, before I go, I've got to thank my Patreons. A special thanks to John Salig, Liz Kimber, Drandy, LN, Fabian Reno, Malvin, Sunran, David McDermott, Exit, Josh Folsom, Beardadai, Dustin Miller, Rack, Eurosletta, Rene, and Remy Bowdoin. If anyone else is able to help support the channel monetarily, link to my Patreon is down below. If not, there are also links down below to other social media, such as Twitch, Twitter, and Discord, as well as our website. If you could help us out by following on any of those or checking any of those out, that'd be greatly appreciated. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.